I want to thank you for joining us here today. My name is Chris Cook. I'm the Parks Commissioner for the City of Boston. It's hard to imagine being in a more beautiful place on a more beautiful day for a more beautiful reason than the groundbreaking of Martin's Park at Smith Family Waterfront. Thank you so much all for joining us. At this time, I'd like to introduce to the stage someone who's no stranger to the strong Dorchester contingent that we have here today. Please welcome to the stage for our opening blessing, Father Sean Connor.
Let us pray. Loving Father, we come before you today with a renewed sense of hope and joy and a hunger for peace. We're reminded once again this week how fragile our nation and our world is, how easily people take instead of give, hurt instead of love. We pray in this beautiful place, which will be renewed for our young people, that it be a sign not only of peace and hope, but a sign of family joy. Send your blessings upon us who gather today. Send your blessings upon our city, our nation, and our world. May we become true instruments of peace. Help us, Lord. Take away all that divides us from you and one another. Mindful of the way each of you prays, I ask the Lord to bless you, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And on a side note, while you're here, there's a lovely new waterfront chapel just down the street. It's a great place to pray. It's a great place to pray for peace. God bless you.
Father, thank you so much. We're very grateful to be in this park right next to the Children's Museum. It's an incredible place for open space. But I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the Fort Point and the South Boston community, who for 2 decades has fought to make this a park. So a round of applause for the community around here.
Who have worked tirelessly with city agencies, city planners, state agencies, state planners to protect this space. And because they protected this space, we now have this opportunity to have this great park here. But we wouldn't have that opportunity if we didn't have extraordinary leadership in the city of Boston with a key focus on open space for our
city. Since he's become mayor, the mayor has made historic investments in not only our historic parks, but also in new parks just like this one. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Mayor of Boston, Martin J. Walsh.
Thank you, Chris, and I want to just thank the Parks Department for the great work they have done, and I want to, a lot of effort has taken, put into being here today, and Chris Cook has been one of the main quarterbacks behind this, so thank you, Chris, for never stopping. I want to thank all the elected officials that are here today. I don't want to start naming people, because if I do, I'll miss somebody, but thank you. On this one, you know who you are. The Richard family, Bill, Denise, Jane, Henry, and Martin's looking down on us today. Thank you for what you do for all of us every single day in the city of Boston. We love you. Father Sean, thank you for being a spiritual guider for so many people, and thank you for your beautiful prayers today. To the funders, this park took a lot. Before I get to the funders, how about to the kids? The groundbreakers right here. Future construction workers there. Members of the building trades, a few of you. Some of you are already in, I think. To the funders, I want to thank the people that are here. I want to thank Dana Smith and the Smith Family Foundation. $3 million, thank you. Thank you for that. Jim Canellis and the Barr Foundation, $3 million, thank you. Carol Charnow and the Children's Museum right next door. Actually, it's not next door. This is all part of the Children's Museum. Thank you, Carol, for your great work. the men and women of the building trades that I know are going to do days here pro bono, thank you for that as well. The city's been looking forward to this day for a long time. It's been over 2 decades, and we've wanted to turn this land into a park for this neighborhood. But what we're embarking on today is more than what we could ever have imagined. It truly is an innovative park in an innovative district. Again, I want to acknowledge all of the hard work that went into this to make this $10 million park possible. The folks that I already mentioned, and there's many of you out there, elected officials who've sat at meetings and helped the Children's Museum. And again, Chris, I want to thank Chris Cook for his leadership in this. Thank you, Chris, for everything you've done to get us to this point. Bill and Denise and the Martin Richard Foundation have worked tirelessly to make this day happen. Private sector partners and public sector partners, including the city and the state, got involved. It truly was a group effort. We wanted to create a memorial for Martin that reflects his beauty and his beautiful soul and legacy. Martin would have wanted a place where everybody could come and have fun. This park brings together children of all abilities to play side by side. We couldn't think of a better place to put this park than next to our Children's Museum, and in a neighborhood that could really use a great park. Our parks are some of our city's biggest points of pride. Martin's Park is going to draw people from all over our city, all over our region, even all over our country. It's going to be used daily by kids who go to the museum. And any child would be thrilled to go to Martin's Park and play on the ship, the slides, and climb the many structures that will be here where you are sitting today. This has certainly been an emotional journey, but we are happy that we can celebrate creating something positive and lasting in Boston, a fitting memorial to his life. That's why Martin's Park is more than just a park. It reminds us of hope, compassion, and love that a special young boy taught us all when we needed to hear it the most. Martin's spirit and legacy will always live in Boston. Children years from now will learn about Martin and his message of peace. It's certainly something none of us here will ever forget. I want to thank you, the Richard family, and I look forward to being back here next year with all of you as we cut the ribbons and climb the structures. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. The Mayor, again, has shown extraordinary leadership, as has his city agencies, whether it's public facilities, ISD, the BRA, BTD, countless others. All city agencies have been collaborating with us, but so have all the state agencies. And again, that's because of leadership. It's the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs, the DEP, and of course, the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, the MBTA, who last week officially transferred this property. This property is no longer MBTA, Mass DOT land. This is now officially parkland due to that transfer. So thank you to the MBTA. None of this would happen without the support and leadership at the State House. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Governor of the Commonwealth, Charlie Baker.
Good afternoon, everybody, on this beautiful and very special day. When Chris mentioned that the property had finally been transferred from the MBTA to the City of Boston, I leaned over to the mayor and I said, you know, that came with $500,000. And he said, we paid $500,000 for this? And I said, no, Mayor, we gave you $500,000. And the mayor said, I like that. That's a good deal. You know, my wife's not here today, but if she were, she'd be sitting somewhere up in the front, and when I finished my remarks, I would go down and I would sit down and I would say, so how did I do? And she would say, too long. That has been her standard refrain to every speech and every commentary I've offered for a very long time. So I'm just going to say one thing. This park and all it stands for and it represents, and the Martin Richard Foundation and the Richard family are about taking perhaps the darkest and most terrible and horrific experience anybody could possibly imagine and finding light and hope and positivity and a future on which you can build something beautiful out of it. And if there were ever a time in recent history when we would have a chance to stand here today, this week, and celebrate that, it is right now. And to the foundations, the Smith Foundation and the Barr Foundation, and to the city, and to all of the folks who've been involved in turning this into a reality, and to the Children's Museum, which I know will just leverage this in a gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful way. I share the mayor's enthusiasm for having a chance to come back here and cut the ribbon. But then I especially look forward to just sneaking by and grabbing a seat and watching kids and their parents and their friends do something that is so primal and fundamental to what it means to be a child, which is to play, and to have that chance to participate in one of this city and this state's greatest opportunities for kids, which is to just have fun. And to Martin Richard, all I can say is I can't think of a bigger and better legacy than to be part of creating an opportunity for everyone to be able to have fun. Because let's face it, this young man not only knew how to have fun, but he came from a family and a tradition that was all about everyone. Everyone, no matter where they came from, no matter what their creed, no matter what their religion, no matter what their skin color. And let me tell you something. Today, this week, always, that is supposed to be what we here in the United States of America are all about. God bless you to the Richard family. Thank you.
Bill, there's no reason to sit down. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Bill Richard and his beautiful daughter, Jane. You need me to pull the mic down, or are you good? You need a stool?
Is this okay?
I think so.
Perfect. I think it is too. I think, you know what? I think it's fine. Oh, you want your speech?
You're going first.
No, you are.
Me? Who's going first? Good. Hi, everyone. When we were younger, all my brothers and I wanted to do was go to the park. We loved it so much, we would go in the rain, snow, and probably even hail. That is if my mother agreed. But when I got hurt, it was hard for me because I wasn't used to my new leg. I couldn't even climb a simple thing like a tree. It was hard watching other kids while I was stuck sitting on the sidelines. This park is going to include everything that I wished for. It will have ramps for wheelchairs, a pirate ship for those who want to sail the big blue sea, and a bucket swing for people who want to soar above the clouds, and our favorite, a web climber. This park will be a place for your imagination to soar and where memories will be made. Martin's Park will have views of the harbor plus benches and trees for the grown-ups to relax. And trust me, if they're dealing with kids that are crazy like me, they'll need it. We will also have a water park play area and an amphitheater for all our actors. I am so happy to be doing this project, and I know Martin is happy that the community is coming together to build something inclusive, which is what Martin was all about. So on behalf of Martin and my family, thank you.
She should have dropped the mic, because thank you, Jane. Despite the seemingly never-ending chaos and senseless violence that the governor and mayor touched on in our lives, today is undeniable proof that good will always triumph. It's really not even close. Nelson Mandela said, "No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite." On behalf of Denise, Henry, and Jane, that seems appropriate. On behalf of Denise, Henry, and Jane, our family and friends, I want to thank you all for being here today. It's okay, hon. As we break ground on Martin's Park, a place where all kids will have the opportunity to learn and play together without prejudice. As you heard from Jane, public parks have always been a big part of our children's lives. When you live in the city, the parks are your backyard. They were certainly ours. Who among us does not recall seeing Denise push the double stroller with one in tow to Dot Park, to Tewig, Hemi, Walsh, Frog Pond, and so many others? And our kids like yours had their favorites, and perhaps like yours had their share of emergency room visits for stitches and broken arms. 4 broken arms by my count? 4. None of them were Martin, so do the math. Those damn monkey bars. Martin's Park, the backyard for the Seaport District, the Children's Museum, and residents of Boston. That's pretty cool. During our stay at Spalding Rehab back in 2013, we watched with anticipation as Thomas Menino Park came to life. Itself an inclusive playground that served as an inspiration for us as Jane recovered from her injury and found it very much to her liking. It was that park that we often cite as a model of inclusion and a place we are confident that Martin's Park will model. There were dozens of reasons why, when we first identified this land as a possible site, why it couldn't work. We stayed focused on how it could work. We are here today breaking ground on a world-class park and playground because of the resolve of Mayor Walsh and Governor Baker. Because of the efforts of Commissioner Cook and his incredible staff. An architect that thinks big and way outside the box. And belief and investment from so many in business and local philanthropy, including thousands of donations, large and small, from all of you. But above all, we are here because of a little guy right down there who we all miss so much. His quick wit and charm, his insistence on fair play, while at the same time owning one heck of a competitive streak. But his enduring message of peace, that just continues to will people to come together for the common good. That's why we're here. And we stand before you in awe, still nearly 5 years later. God bless Sean, Lindsay, Crystal, and Martin. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Richard family. Bill already recognized them, but a world-class park takes world-class vision, and we're very grateful to be working with Michael Van Valkenburg and Associates. If you've ever been to Brooklyn Bridge Park or you've been to Maggie Daley Park in Chicago, they are the visionaries who delivered those new landmarks to those cities, and they're going to be delivering this landmark to South Boston. So thank you very much to Michael Van Valkenburg and Associates for their design, as well as UTL. And of course, you need someone to actually build it, and we couldn't be more grateful than to have McKay Construction with us on this site. So thank you very much, James McKay and his entire team. We can't do it without the sponsors. So we want to thank Emily Cass and her family, Ann Lovett, Steve Woodsum, Fidelity Investments, John Hancock, P&G Gillette, Richard and Sarah Page Mayo, of course, the Cronin Group, Adidas America, Dick Ebersol and Susan St. James, Holly and David Bruce and the Highland Street Foundation, Jack Connors Family Foundation, the Martin Richard Foundation, of course, the Rands Foundation, Robert Kraft, Sherry and Alan Leventhal Family Foundations, Vertex Pharmaceuticals, and thousands of others who have made this possible. We're very, very grateful to all those sponsors. One of the first sponsors, though, to raise their hands for this park was the Dick and Susan Smith Family Foundation. This past year, we lost a member of that family. And as we grieve for that member of family, we stand in gratitude. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dana Smith, the trustee on behalf of the Smith Family Foundation.
Good afternoon. All of the important words have been spoken already by the Richard family and our phenomenal mayor and governor. I just want to add that I'm grateful to be here today on behalf of our chairman of our foundation, Richard Smith, the trustees of the Richard and Susan Smith Foundation, and all of the members of the Smith, Knez, Barrelson families who are deeply honored to play any part at all in bringing the gift of this world-class park to Boston in memory of Martin Richard. As has been said, we are deeply inspired by the courage of the Richard family, and we hold in our heart the image of Martin Richard holding the sign exhorting all of us, no more hurting people, peace. The transformation of this space, as our mayor and governor spoke about, the transformation of this underutilized public space into a universally accessible gathering space and playground feels like a very important and poignant tribute. Reminds us all of Denizen's words, that to truly honor is to love and to create something beautiful and lasting. The co-founder of our foundation, who you spoke about, thank you, Susan Smith, was extremely excited about this gift before she passed away last year. And she was inspired by the idea, in her words, that this park would be named for Martin and would delight generations of families into the future. So this gift builds on a very deep and personal connection for us and the inspiration, the courage of the Richard family. It builds on a long-standing connection to this space and to Children's Museum, including a gift over 10 years ago to build the waterfront plaza. We are grateful to the Richard Family Foundation, to the Martin Richard Foundation for this gift, for your leadership and your vision, but for so many gifts that you are giving all over the city and the impact that you are making. We're grateful to the Parks Department and Michael Van Valkenburg Associates for helping to bring this vision, this incredible vision of the Martin Richard Foundation to a reality. We look forward to enjoying this space with children all over the city, our grandchildren and children from all over the world who will find here what is most precious in life: togetherness, love, joy, peace, and delight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dana. As we look to partnerships in the city, as we look to vision for open space and for waterfront, no one has demonstrated more leadership than the Barr Foundation. Here representing the Barr Foundation, please give a warm welcome for Jim Canales.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to represent the Barr Foundation, which, as you heard earlier, has committed $3 million in support of Martins Park. The foundation was motivated to participate in this compelling civic project for many reasons, but perhaps this anecdote says it best. During one of the very first conversations I had with Bill and Denise, they noted poignantly that they sought to honor their son Martin in a way that looked forward with hope rather than look back with sadness. Their intent was to turn a tragic event in their lives into an opportunity that paid tribute to Martin's spirit and brought benefit to many others. Martins Park promises to be a place of joy, a site for community, a space for fellowship, and a venue of beauty. As such, this park will embody Martin's spirit abundantly. The park will also encourage us to realize our highest aspirations. First, as you heard so eloquently from Jane, it will be a place accessible to young people of all abilities, for them to enjoy the many amenities the park will offer. This focus on accessibility was a core commitment from the very beginning for what this park could be, and hopefully to set a bar for others. Second, the park is being built in a way that is fully cognizant of its location on the waterfront and the reality of a changing climate. Fort Point Channel already floods on a regular basis, so the park has been designed to be resilient to flooding, storm surge, and the related effects of climate change. And finally, Martins Park will showcase the very best of urban design, fitting for a world-class city such as Boston. We are delighted that the city selected, as you heard earlier, the noted landscape architecture firm Michael Van Valkenburg Associates for this project. As Bill noted, Michael has been personally engaged throughout, bringing his tremendous vision and creativity to the project in a way that honors Martin and that responds to the Richard family's vision. For all of these reasons, our foundation was delighted to contribute to a project that we know will create a destination for our home city. We designated $2 million of our commitment to create a maintenance endowment to ensure that this park receives the quality of care it deserves in perpetuity. We've been pleased that many others have also contributed to this endowment, so future generations of Bostonians can delight in the park's wonder. Today's headlines and the events of the past weekend in Charlottesville affirm that we live in challenging times. And occasions such as today's remind us that when there is division and discord in our society, messages of hope resonate and unite. In that way, Martin's immortal message perhaps carries even more resonance today. That message of peace, etched in our memories, will now live on through the physical transformation of this space. Martins Park will serve as an inspiration to all. What a privilege for all of us to be here at the beginning, and what a wonderful legacy the Richard family has created for Martin and for Boston. Denise and Bill, thank you for allowing all of us to take part in translating your vision into reality. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Jim. This park literally isn't possible without the Boston Children's Museum, because about a quarter of it is going to be built over the Boston Children's Museum property right over there. And if we weren't able to do that, we wouldn't have the accessible grades for our ramps, and we certainly wouldn't have the extraordinary slides that all these kids are going to enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our partner in this park, the president of the Boston Children's Museum, Carol Chernow.
The vision for this magnificent children's park is now being realized by those who have just spoken so beautifully. Boston Children's Museum, the neighborhood, and the city have shared this dream of a waterfront park, especially one designed for all Boston's children and their families. But it took the leadership of Mayor Walsh, our governor, and the generosity, kindness, love, and spirit of Bill and Denise and their family to make it a reality. So let me quickly thank our mayor, Marty Walsh, the Richard family, our governor, Charlie Baker, the distinguished and generous donors, my board of directors, who really never gave up the dream over 2 decades, Joyce Linehan, the chief of policy for the city of Boston, and my friend, the great Parks and Recreation Commissioner, Chris Cook, tireless advocate for parks and for Martin's Park, and his staff, my staff mates, Amy Auerbach and Charlene Morrell Smith, who never gave up on this little piece of land, Vivian Lee, Valerie Burns, Kathy Murphy, our neighbors on Summer Street, the Friends of Fort Point Channel, and many more who made this day possible. But most of all, like those who spoke before me, I want to honor and acknowledge Martin. This park is a symbol of peace and inclusiveness that reflects the noble aspirations of a family and of a community. Martin's Park will forever inspire us to make a better world, a world in which every child can experience the exhilarating joy of play, discovery, and friendship. A park that will be a symbol for all of the light and love that can emerge from darkness. Edith Wharton once said, "There are 2 ways of spreading light, to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it." Therefore, this park will be for all time the brightly shimmering candle reflected in the mirror of thousands of children's shining faces. Thank you all for being here at this momentous and great day. And now let's make Martin's Park.
So, as has been mentioned, enormous support has been given to this park, but I would be remiss to say that we're complete. So we do need more help. We're about 75% the way through our goal, including the maintenance endowment, and we do need more support. So we encourage others to participate in making this dream a reality. But here we are at this milestone. So at this time, I'd like to ask the Richard family, the mayor, the governor, the speakers, as well as the children in the audience and the other elected officials to please join us for the ceremonial groundbreaking. As they make their way, a few more quick thank yous. There's 2 individuals at the Boston Parks and Recreation Department who have worked tirelessly on this project, along with many others, Liza Meyer and Lauren Bryant. If you could give them a round of applause for all their work on this project.